In a small town in Virginia, USA, a boy named Desmond Doss was growing up in a simple home. His father was strict, his mother deeply religious. From a young age, Desmond learned the power of faith. He believed in one simple rule: thou shalt not kill. While other boys were playing with toy soldiers, Desmond's games were different. He imagined helping people, healing wounds, saving lives. His faith shaped his heart and his dreams, and little did he know that belief would be tested in the most brutal war the world had ever seen, World War II. When the war began, young men across the United States were rushing to enlist. The draft and patriotism swept through towns and cities. Everyone was preparing to fight. Everyone except Desmond, who had a different plan. He joined the army, but not to wield a weapon. He volunteered as a combat medic, a man who would save lives instead of taking them. From the moment he stepped into basic training, Desmond faced opposition. His fellow soldiers and even his commanding officers laughed at him. "How can you be a soldier without a gun?" they sneered. "You'll get us all killed." But Desmond didn't argue. He didn't give up. Instead, he trained harder than anyone else. He ran faster, carried heavier loads, and memorized every first aid technique. He endured insults, harassment, and mockery with unwavering calm. Desmond's courage was quiet, but it was growing, and soon he would face the ultimate test. Journey to the Pacific. In 1944, Desmond and his unit were sent to the Pacific Theater. Their mission: capture the island of Okinawa, one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. The Japanese forces were entrenched in strongholds, and American troops were preparing for a deadly assault on Hacksaw Ridge, a 400-foot cliff that stood between them and victory. As the soldiers approached the ridge, the sounds of war were deafening. Bombs exploded in the distance, bullets whizzed by, smoke filled the sky. Men were terrified. Many carried rifles ready to kill or be killed, but Desmond had no weapon. He carried only medical supplies and his faith. From the moment he stepped into basic training, Desmond faced opposition. His fellow soldiers and even his commanding officers laughed at him. "How can you be a soldier without a gun?" they sneered. "You'll get us all killed." But Desmond didn't argue. He didn't give up. Instead, he trained harder than anyone else. He ran faster, carried heavier loads, and memorized every first aid technique. He endured insults, harassment, and mockery with unwavering calm. Desmond's courage was quiet, but it was growing, and soon he would face the ultimate test: facing disbelief and danger. The night fell, but the battle didn't end. Desmond continued his work. The ridge was filled with moans of pain. The ground was slippery with blood and mud. Every step could be his last. At one point, a grenade landed near him. It exploded. Desmond was injured. But even then, he did not stop. He handed his stretcher to another soldier and kept moving, still saving lives. His bravery was silent but unstoppable. No gun, no killing, just courage, faith, and an unwavering will to save life. By the time the battle ended, Desmond Doss had saved 75 soldiers, more than anyone could imagine, and he did it without firing a single shot. The next morning, the American army regrouped. Soldiers who had doubted him now looked to Desmond with respect and admiration. He had proven that courage was not measured by the number of enemies you kill, but by the number of lives you save. Even his commanding officers were stunned. They had witnessed a man defy expectations and risk death again and again. Desmond's story spread throughout the army. Other soldiers began to call him a hero. They marveled at how a single man, armed only with his faith and medical skills, could do what dozens armed with rifles could not. After the war, Desmond returned home a hero. But he never sought fame. His humility was as great as his courage. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the United States. And he became the first man to ever receive it without firing a single shot. Lessons from Desmond Doss. Desmond's story is more than a tale of war. It is a story of humanity, of morality, of courage. In a world where violence often seems the only way, Desmond showed that bravery can take many forms, that sometimes the greatest hero is the one who refuses to kill. He proved that faith, determination, and compassion can survive even in the darkest conditions, and that courage is not measured by guns or weapons, but by the heart. His legacy lives on, inspiring soldiers, medics, and ordinary people around the world. Through his story, we are reminded that even in the most brutal wars, humanity can shine, that life can triumph over death, and that sometimes one man's faith can save dozens of lives.